Yeah, so welcome back to my new video. This video, I'm going to show you how you can create Kubernetes on Microsoft Azure. And then probably in my next video, I'm going to show you how to create on Google Cloud as well as AWS. So as you can see on my slides, creating Kubernetes services on Azure is very simple. The first thing you need to do is to create a resource group, and then you specify the location or the region that you want to create your services at. In my case, I'm going to create it at Australia East. And then once you create the resource group, then you need to create your cluster. And then once you are done creating your clusters, then you can also delete your clusters using this command. And before you start, you might need to install Azure CLI, which I've provided a link here. You can go to the link and then you either install it on your operating system, either on Microsoft, Linux, or Mac OS. Okay, so once you are done, you test AZ login, and then once you test it, it's going to open a browser for you to authenticate, or whichever authentication protocols you're using, either you're using two-factor or you're using the email and password and things like that. And then once you are done with that, you need to also install AKS install CLI. And this one is purposely for Azure Kubernetes Services CLI. And once that is also installed, you need to set up your account with your subscription ID. So you have to run this set account, easy account set, and then you pass in the subscription ID. And then once that is done, you want to get the credentials from AKS, and then you will specify the resource group as well as the name of the Kubernetes clusters. And the last part is you can also scale your node. So assuming our initial node was 2, we can scale the node to, let's say, 3, 4, 5, 6, or whatever you want to scale. But remember, at the initial part, you can also auto scale minimum and maximum count. But if you don't specify these 3 parameters, you can do it manually as well. All you need is to specify the number of node counts and then the name of the cluster you want to, Kubernetes cluster you want to scale, as well as the resource group. So let's go back. So let's go back to the browser. So this is the Microsoft Azure console. And as you can see all the services here. So these are all the services. And then I can search for Kubernetes. So that's Kubernetes services. Once I click on it, I can go to the upper left and then say create clusters. Once I do that, I go through all these process from the console, but we are not going to use this approach. We are going to use the CLI approach to create our Kubernetes clusters. So let me switch back to the terminal. So I'm currently in my terminal, and what I'm going to do is I already have everything installed. So AZ, I can check the version. Okay, so this is the Azure CLI version that I'm currently using as at the time of recording this video. If you are watching this video in the future, you might want to upgrade your CLI version. And what I can also do is I have to create a resource group first. So I can say AZ AKS okay, so let me see. So it's AZ create rather, AZ create, AZ group create. Okay, so what this is going to do is that it's going to create a resource group name AKS, let me call it YouTube. Okay, and then at the location Australia East, and then the output should be in a table format, or you can even specify JSON format, whichever works for you is fine. So once I run this, okay, so I've created this resource group, but what is happening here is that let me see if I have Kubernetes CTL get ports or get nodes. So I don't have any Kubernetes cluster running. And then we've created our resource group. So what I'm going to do now is to create AZ AKS create. So what this thing is doing is I'm creating a bare minimal Kubernetes clusters. So the resource group we created was AKS hyphen YouTube. And then I'm going to call it these Kubernetes clusters as meetup YouTube. Okay. And then the number of node I'm looking at is 2. And then the node VM size, the size of the VM is standard DS2 underscore V2. And then the location is Australia East. And then the Kubernetes version that I'm considering is 1.2.1.9. And then I want the output in a JSON format. So I don't want in a table format this time, in a JSON form. So I'm just going to hit enter. So it's going to take a little bit of time to start. So, okay. So as you can see, it's running. It's going to take a little bit of time. So I'm going to pause the video. Yeah, so as you can see, the JSON output, you see the number of counts is 2. And the maximum port that you can run on the node is 110 by default. And then the OS type is Linux and it's Ubuntu. Let me see. Provisioning state is associated. Code running. Yeah, so there's a whole bunch of information given to us. The admin username is Azure user, the Kubernetes version. Yeah, so we have a whole lot of the tier is free and basic. Yeah, so also after doing this, before you even run this, you can say, after running this create Kubernetes clusters command, you have to also get the credentials. Okay. The get the credential will help you to use your terminal to communicate with the clusters. So it's AZ AKS get credentials. And remember, the name of our Kubernetes clusters was YouTube, meetup YouTube, and then the resource group was AKS YouTube. Yeah, so this is just the command you need to type. Once you do that, so it's successful, and the configuration information is here. So if you cut this path, you should see a bunch of credential information. So now I can use my terminal to communicate with Azure Kubernetes services. So the first thing I'm going to do is to get nodes. Okay, so now as you can see, we have 2 nodes running, and the starter is ready. And then the container runtime is containerd. It's running Ubuntu 18. The Kubernetes version we are using is 1.2.1.9. It took about 4 minutes to 6 minutes to provision these 2 nodes. Yeah, so currently we can say kubectl get namespace. And as you can see, we only have the default namespace and then the other default namespaces. This happened around 8 minutes ago. And we can create a namespace. kubectl create namespace. I'm going to call it YouTube namespace. Once I do that and I say get namespace, you can see now we have the YouTube namespace. Now I can create a port inside this namespace. So what I can do is can say kubectl run nginx inside this YouTube namespace. Okay. So it's created. So I can do kubectl get ports in this YouTube namespace. Okay, so as you can see, it's running, and it's running on the first node, this one. Okay, so that is how you create a Kubernetes clusters with Microsoft Azure, and then we're able to create a port inside our default namespace. And then we also tested the get port command, and then it looks everything is working. So if after everything you want to shut it down, all you need to type is AZ AKS delete, and then you specify the resource group, which is YouTube, and then the name of the cluster we want to delete is meetup YouTube. That is the name of the cluster, meetup YouTube. And then once you, okay, I'm going to remove the yes parameter and see what we get. So he said, are you sure you want to perform this operation? No, because I still want to keep the clusters because I have other videos that I need to record. So I'm going to keep it. So I'm just going to say no. No, you see, the operation is canceled. Yeah, if I want to delete the pod, kubectl delete pod nginx inside the default namespace called, or inside the namespace called YouTube. Okay. So pod nginx deleted. So if you have any question, please leave them in the comment section below, and I'll make sure that I'll respond to your comment as soon as I get a notification. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel so that any new video you'll be notified. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.